2, 1. What's up? We are two Larry Davids on an affidavit. That would suck. That might be the worst one yet.
Doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It makes sense.
No, because
he's written in there.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, twice?
Yeah, 2 of them.
We really should have looked up what an affidavit was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I just know it's a legal document.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Larry David
on a legal document. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Here, you keep riffing. I'm looking up what an affidavit is.
We're 2 dope boys on a porch, and we like to talk about albums, specifically one new release from the year and one random genre determined by a random number generator and rateyourmusic.com.
Yeah, and we're here. We tell you interesting things, like the fact that an affidavit is a written statement in which the signer, or affiant, verifies that the document is true. They differ from sworn oaths only in that the relevant parties must sign them instead of swearing them out loud. The person swearing to this written statement is called the affiant.
Yeah, and this week we are reviewing 2 more albums like we usually do.
Dos más. Albumos más.
Yeah, we've been on a bit of a hiatus as of recently.
Mm-hmm.
I think just with finals coming up, but we've got some...
We're sleepy little guys, I guess.
Yeah, we've got some absolute slappers in the chamber.
Yeah, this is a good week. This is an exciting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even get to... You don't even know what we've got in store.
You would love for us to tell you, but we're not going to tell you.
You don't even get to know our secret little tricks.
We're so close to telling you, and then we're just going to not tell you.
Oh, wait, ready? You want to know? Oh, couldn't tell you.
Oh, he was gonna.
You're on the edge of your seat. I can see the back of your chair.
Yeah, I can see your lip trembling. You're like you're like biting your lip slowly. You're going. You're like squeezing your knees together.
Yeah,
you're going. Oh, please tell me.
Please, Mr. Podcast Man. Please tell me what you have in store.
Oh God, when is he gonna tell me? And then we don't tell you, and you're just stuck like this forever.
Yeah.
And some of you are really gonna like that, and other of you are not. But the ones that like that, that's for you.
That's what we do it for.
Yeah, we do it. We do it for those freaks out there.
But yeah, what do we have in store for this week?
They think we're gonna tell them. No, we're gonna tell you. It's.
Yeah. All right. I don't even remember what the first album.
It's Shibuboshi.
It was Shibuboshi. So for our first random genre this week, we got experimental big band, and the album is Shibuboshi, a 2004 album by the band Shibusashirazu Orchestra.
Nice.
Yeah.
We were so close to hitting that clean.
Yeah.
But hey, that's good.
I pronounced it right. So
Shibusashirazu.
Yeah.
Shibusashirazu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A super fun and crazy Japanese big band bebop.
Yeah.
Jazz fusion.
Yeah, founded in 1989. They're still going present day. They do apparently just wild, wacky live shows.
Yeah.
Their main guy is a guy named Daisaki Furu. Sorry if I mispronounced that terribly. Who's the main composer and also the bassist for the group. And they focus a lot on improvisation. The band, according to Wikipedia, is an indirect translation, close enough, is either we don't understand cool or we are unaffected by cool, which... Unfortunately for that name is very cool.
Yeah.
It is very, very cool. But yeah, this fantastic little record. Very, very weird. You can't find this one on Spotify or Apple Music or any of the main streaming services. We had to find this on YouTube and then download an MP4 file of it. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit harder to come by, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely still, I think, we'll get into it, I think definitely still worth the listen. Also, some of the band's other works are on Spotify and Apple Music. There's a really good one if you want to restrict yourself to the streaming services. There's one, it's got a red cover, it's got a koi fish on it. I've listened to a couple tracks off that album. It's really good too.
Okay, I need to check that out then.
So, but this is their kind of, I guess, critically acclaimed album.
This is the highest rated one on Rate Your Music for sure, and it seems to have developed quite the underground following in the music nerd community.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that means. But this one seems to be very critically acclaimed, and for the people that have found it, has a special place in their hearts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And when you listen to it, it's pretty clear immediately why. This record is insane. It is a blast. It is hard to quite contextualize because it very much sounds like big band, but it is so bombastic and over the top that it is. I found it very infectious right off the bat.
Oh, for sure. It starts going and it doesn't stop.
Yeah, and because we listened to it on an MP4 file, we had a hard time distinguishing between the tracks, and we didn't really take in their names all that well. Mm-hmm. But as just an hour through experience, this thing is just a nonstop ride.
Yeah,
it has kind of more swung songs, more traditional big band stuff, other stuff that sounds like it could have been on a Black Midi record.
Oh yeah, and the whole thing sounds like if Black Midi did like a big band project.
Yeah, and just like
but even more wild.
Yeah, and it's all instrumental, but very very heavy focus on electric instrumentation, soloing.
Had one vocal track.
Did they have a vocal track? They might have had
a vocal track in there.
Yeah, you might be right. You're probably right. I trust you.
But yeah, I mean mainly instrumental. That's definitely the focus. Lots of improvisation.
Mm-hmm. And grooving. I feel like this is this could be a record where you kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit. Mm-hmm. I feel like for stuff that's a little bit proggier like this, or even like a little bit more, I guess just proggy. It's for me. I kind of can struggle with some of these listens that for records similar to this, where you kind of go, okay, they're kind of just like patting themselves in the back a little bit too much there. They're kind of just trying to get a little too weird with this. This one, I think the musicians are just so very good that it never quite slips into that territory for me. It's just so grooving all the way through.
Yeah. No, it's consistent throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like proggy in the traditional sense that you'd think about it, I guess. It's like, they're doing weird time signatures and weird modal borrowing, but I don't know, like the saxophone solos especially are just so on point throughout the whole thing. That's just like you can hear them having fun in the record, and it's just like it translates to the listener for sure.
It reminds me a lot of that Ray Barretto track we listened to earlier, where like you could hear the guys cheering each other on mid solo and thing. And even though this doesn't have that, it has the same feel of that. Mm-hmm. As you can tell, this thing was performed in a room together live, and that they're just egging each other on musically. And they've just got it going. This is a band with, as we like to say, an immense amount of ass.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable, like ass out their asses.
At the wazoo.
Yeah. It is a wild time.
Yeah. What were your final thoughts on this album? What was your silly little rating?
Oh, my silly little rating. We haven't done our favorite track yet.
Well, I didn't have... My favorite track was the one that
went... You wrote one down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
it was the one that went...
You said yours was images, and I said mine was in the image of images.
Okay.
I remember mine was I picked one that I think it's like about 30 minutes in.
I bet you they're the same track.
They're probably the same track. But I picked one with a real, like, swung bass line, and the upright player's just going insane.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just grooving. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's the same track I picked, because it's like the one where they, like, prove, hey, we can do, like, kind of normal jazz stuff, too. And then they, like... And then... 20 seconds later, it's back to just like, but it's really cool.
Yeah,
you should listen to it.
I feel like it's a hard record to explain because so much of it you can explain by just the and it's hard to make that sound cool, but it's so insanely fun.
Yeah,
and especially I feel like if you just put on this record, you will get it in the first minute. Yeah, it is easy to get why this thing is so infectious and such a great time. Yeah, right off the bat.
This is the best jazz album I've listened to this year.
Even better than Joe Henderson?
Yeah, better than Joe Henderson.
Fair enough. Yeah. This is a fantastic
This is record. Maybe the best, or one of the best. Probably, I won't say the best. It's one of the best. It's a contender for one of the best jazz fusion albums I've heard. Mm-hmm. I love jazz fusion, and this absolutely blew me away. Yeah. So.
And I mean, it's also so different from the tradition of like, Japanese jazz that's really popular on the internet right now. Like, there's of course like Masayoshi Tanaka.
Like city pop.
City pop, jazz. Like you got Cassiopeia, which are fantastic bands, but it's not that kind of like almost surf pop, like jazzy fusion stuff that's going on in that stuff. It's so much more like heavy and proggy and weird, and it's really cool to not like. I feel like that sounds like. I don't know. I feel like. Oftentimes when people talk about Japanese jazz, you can kind of pigeonhole it into those really popular 80s jazz like artists. And it's nice to remember that there's just such a wide breadth of music going on everywhere. And besides all that, it's just a fantastic record.
Yeah, what was your what are you feeling for this one?
Yeah, I gave this one a thumbs up, and it's kind of trending best for me, I think. I think I could, like, if, like, I listened to this record a couple more times, I could definitely, like, kind of claim this as one of my own. But, yeah, just a great record. You should go listen to it. It's a good time.
I'm going to give this one a 4.5. And absolutely recommend. I loved it. It's so good. I still have the file on my phone.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you can just go to anywhere.
It's got like 4 gigabytes on my phone,
yeah.
I think. It's awesome.
But, like, it's just, I don't know, I haven't heard anything like it from a jazz band, a big band.
Yeah, just go look it up on YouTube. Like, it'll be down in the description, spelled correctly.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And you can just go, like, look it up and click on it and listen to it. It's totally worth your time.
Just extremely innovative record.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I don't know, just a blast, really.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll move on into our new release.
Our new release, yeah.
Which was your pick this week.
Yeah, my pick for this week was Night Palace by Mount Eerie, the new Mount Eerie record. Mount Eerie is the project of Phil Elverum.
Yes.
Absolute legend of the underground lo-fi scene, of folk music in general.
Microphones fame.
Yeah, he started out doing microphones in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Many people will know the Glow Part 2, fantastic record. And then in around, I have the dates here. What a smart little boy I am. In 2003, he switched his name to Mount Eerie with the release of the self-titled record Mount Eerie, which you can find on the Microphones page as well, various places. But now he's been releasing music under the name Mount Eerie for a while, and some fantastic releases under that point. He works with Canadian artist Julie Doiron a lot. Many people will know the very, very, very wonderful, heartbreaking 2017 record, A Crow Looked at Me. And yeah, Phil Elverum is just a force in the underground singer-songwriter, folk, lo-fi like genre. And this is his first record in 5 years, I believe. Last one being, I believe, The Lost Wisdom Part 2 in 2019. And this album is fantastic. It's great. I want to talk a little bit about the name because it's a reference to, Joanne Kiger poem called Night Palace, same name as the record. I just want to read out the poem because I think it's really lovely. The best thing about the past is that it's over. When you die, you wake up from the dream. That's your life. Then you grow up and get to be post-human in a past that keeps happening ahead of you. And it's a very kind of, I feel like it kind of makes sense. It's better to, like, if you can, look that poem up because it's also, I forget the name for this, but it's a poem that's laid out in a very strange way and that kind of adds to the story of it. And Phil Elverum has a lovely post on his Substack where he talks about the thought process behind this record in relation to the rest of his work and how this record responds to the rest of his work, which he kind of has described as, for years my main point could be summarized as a person is insignificant beneath the big impermanence of life on Earth. And his new record, he kind of wants to talk a little bit differently about it. To briefly summarize this Substack article, he says, I saw new ways of saying don't get used to it over the course of many albums. And this album sounds like a return to basics in a lot of ways, and an exploration of similar themes to 2017's A Crow Looked at Me, and stuff he's been saying all over his record, and there's a lot of old feeling new again on this record, in sonically, lyrically, and I think that's about all I have to say introducing the album.
Yeah, I don't have as well-rounded knowledge of Mr. Elverum as you do.
I just wrote it down.
But, this album, as someone who likes the microphones, I noticed kind of a return to microphone-esqueness to it that, at first, I was kind of shied away from, I think, because I was like, hey, I want to hear something new. Yeah. But, like, it is it's, by the end of the album, I find it really charming.
Yeah.
It feels really like him.
Absolutely.
The album's really endearing and just really smooth. He also tries a lot on this album that, and obviously with that much experimentation, not everything is going to work perfectly.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, a lot of it goes over really well.
Yeah.
And just texturally, that's one thing with the microphones and Phil's music that's like always been kind of a staple is that how texturally interesting it is, and that's not changing here. It's
completely retains
you know
that.
he's been cooking for years. He's still cooking like, yeah.
Yeah, and I think part of the interesting about the return to microphone sound is Mount Eerie. When he switched that project name after the self-titled project Mount Eerie, he stripped back to a lot more of an acoustic sound, maybe a little bit of electric guitar, but the microphones were marked by a lot of experimentation with like lo-fi production, weird kind of like ambient noises and soundscapes, and like a lot of compressed drums and weirdly compressed guitars, and just a very odd sound overall. And Mount Eerie kind of stripped that back, and this kind of feels, this isn't quite to the like a Glow Part 2 level of like lo-fi experimentation. This one sounds very polished and studio recorded, but with a lot of very cool experimentations with sound. There's a very, I forget what the song's called, but there's a beautiful soundscape on one of these. Where it's just like a
is it the whale one?
It might be the whale one, yeah. It's like it's 3-minute long like ambient track with like waves and bird noises and whale noises, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And it plays into, I mean, Phil Elverum has always been fascinated by nature and our relationship to it, and the grandness of nature. In relation to our physical bodies and the impermanence of all that, and this is a record that just explores that even more. But there's a certain maturity to this one that I really love. You can feel his age in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of focus on like not only he likes birds.
He likes his birds.
He likes his birds, but like a focus on like air and water.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
And it's so charming to see him go back and back to this theme, like. You get very invested in it as a listener, even if you're not someone that particularly cares about nature a whole lot, which, I mean, that's kind of a callous way to say it, but, like, even if you're not someone who spends a lot of time out in nature, like, you feel very drawn to it by his affection for it.
Yeah, and he's not very blunt about it. He's very, like, a lot of what makes his songwriting very unique is he's very metaphorical, and even, like, plays into that kind of there's a wispiness to everything that he does that is, I don't know, kind of makes it seem otherworldly is not the word I'm looking for, but like there's something very like grounded and grand to it.
Yeah, well, like I mean, sonically he talks about drawing a lot of inspiration from the landscapes of the Pacific Northwest around him, kind of in the same way Twin Peaks kind of did that back in like the early 90s, how it kind of felt otherworldly and very grounded in nature at the same time. And I think there's also an interesting thing here lyrically where you said he deals a lot in metaphors often. And this is true for a lot of this record, but there's a lot of this record that
he is very blunt on some
things. There's literally a song called Non-Metaphorical Decolonization. Yeah. And I think it's really, really great to hear him wrestling with what it means, like wrestling with his relationship to his landscape. He talks a lot in his article on his Substack about like how grounded and at home he feels in like his little like plot of land where he's living with his kid, and how much satisfaction and joy he gets out of just working the land and being at peace with it, and yet also the kind of like instability and like horror of knowing that land is like comes as a product of colonization and genocide. Yeah. And how do you balance these two things? Should you balance these two things? And how can these two things coexist together? And it's just a really beautiful wrestling process for him, and I think he like comes out in the right idea mostly that like I mean the non-metaphorical decolonization is blunt, like that's what needs to happen for him.
I'm gonna have to ruin the vibe real quick because I have to talk about it. What? I have to talk about the trap beat.
Oh yeah, the trap beat. Yeah,
there's a random trap beat that happens on one of the tracks for like 20 seconds and then goes away and doesn't come back.
I kind of like the trap beat.
The sounds are really shitty and like stock drum sounds. It really threw me out of the album for a second. It doesn't take away from the album that much, but like if you're listening to it, like toward the back half, there's a jump scare. Trap beat jump scare,
yeah. And like that kind of goes into like like this album's about 26 tracks long and about an hour 20, I think, something close to that. And like on an hour and 20-minute long album, like with 26 tracks, you're gonna be trying some shit. Yeah. Like there's a screamo death metal song on this one, and there's also like a lot of ballads. There's some just straight up rock songs.
Yeah. I think that was the only experimental blunder, I guess, that not blunder, because it's hard to call it that, but it didn't quite land for me. That's the only really... when I was talking about it, all the experimentation didn't quite land for me, I'm really only talking about that one track. Yeah. But yeah, like the rest of it was I think like he just knows what he knows what he's doing, and he has a vision, and you can really tell.
Absolutely. And I think there's something fun about him just like fucking around with whatever on this record. Sonically, I mean. Like, I think there's something fun about him trying it. I think it fits the feel of the record, the idea of just sitting out in nature and doing what occurs to you. There's always been a looseness to his records that I've always really enjoyed. And I don't know, there's something about the looseness of the music that works really well with the bluntness of the lyrics a lot of the time. And this record just flows so effortlessly between peace and, like, disharmony. And so much of it is concerned with that idea of how we find peace in, like, the unharmony.
Even in the disharmony, I find, like, it's very soothing.
Yeah. And, like...
Even the death metal, like, kind of thing, it's still very soothing.
Yeah. I don't think it's a record that gives you answers for how to find that peace, but I think it's a record that is at peace with itself in some way, and part of that has to come from the tension. I think for Phil Elverum, I wonder what he would say about it, because I think he would be able to phrase this much better, and talk through it a lot clearer. But I don't know. I really love the way this record sits in that tension and just kind of forces you to be there with it, but also manages to find peace. Like the kind of like weird absurdity of the fact that there's so much tension and horror in the world, but you can still just sit by the ocean and feel completely at peace. Is a thing this record takes really seriously and thinks is important. Yeah.
Also, I think on the mix aspect of it, I was very impressed by. You don't see a lot of, with the commercial music how it is nowadays, you don't see a lot of music that's extremely dynamic. This album's very dynamic. It gets very loud and at times gets super quiet. And I always appreciate that because I think that's how music's... This is getting into, like, my opinion on music, but, like... I guess that's what we do here. If you haven't caught on already.
Yeah, this is the opinions.
We're very opinionated people.
And we're two neutral boys on a porch giving you nothing.
We're out feeding you slop.
Yeah, serving you absolutely nothing. The like, absolutely no rhetoric, nothing. Just like, I think the music is...
Music.
It defines us. Music is a land of contrasts.
Music is the sound.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Whoa there. Sometimes it might be bad. Maybe we could meet in the middle. Maybe we could agree. Maybe we could find a way to compromise amidst our differences.
If we could find a bipartisan solution to music.
Yeah, I'm passing a bipartisan bill on music that does fuck all. Yeah.
But no, I think I love to hear music. I like when my music gets too quiet and I have to turn it up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's just like... I don't know. Quiet music makes you listen in. Loud music is really in your face. I think there's dynamics. When you look at the this getting kind of theoretical shit, but like when you get into the characteristics of sound is made up of three things. It's amplitude, waveform, and timbre. Like pitch and waveform, amplitude, timbre, and amplitude's a big part of that. It's a third of what sound is. So like different amplitudes cause you to have different reactions to sound. And I don't know, it's done well in this album.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I don't know, you love to hear. He's got such a soft voice. Like if he's just talking in a speaking voice, he sounds very soft, and he has a great way with acoustic guitar tones.
Yeah. That's
very, very like fat and full. That sound, but also very soft. I think he probably uses like a nylon string guitar a lot of the time. And there's just I don't know, it's like, I'm also a very big dynamic, like I love a record that is very willing, like is willing to push the envelope soft-wise. Like I feel like a lot of records are willing to get as loud as possible. Very, like, it takes a lot of gusto to really pull off the like really, really quiet part.
Yeah.
It takes and like, I don't know, he's always been doing this. Like even like the Glow Part 2, he'd been on this shit. Like, the Glow Part 2 is one of my favorite song transitions ever. In what is it?
Samurai, whatever.
I felt your shape into Samurai Sword. Yeah. And like, it's just cool. It's great to hear a guy doing all this shit.
Yeah, what was your favorite track?
Oh yeah. Let's get to that. I chose Broom of Wind because this is a record I feel like I really want to go back to. I've only been through it once, And I like there's so much juicy shit there that I just really want to go back to, and I feel like I might have a different favorite every time. But I listened to Broom of Wind a lot. It was the first single that was paired with I Walk, I think is the other one. And it's just a 2-minute little track that feels a little bit not like the other stuff he really does. That's almost like it's almost pavement-y in a way. And it's just wonderful. I love that little track.
Yeah, I think my favorite was I Saw Another Bird. It's just really pretty. It was one of the singles he released. But I agree with you. I think if I went back, I would be like, no, this one's actually my favorite.
Yeah.
If I went back again, I'd be like, no, actually, like, the one about the whale is my favorite.
I think this record is going to sit so nicely in his catalog.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he has such a fantastic catalog already. I mean, also, he's one of those artists that, like, there's tons and tons of unreleased shit, little acoustic demos that people just pour over and adore.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, this feels like this feels like a huge one in his catalog. Maybe that's just like recency bias.
Yeah.
But this just feels like such a great record to me, and also one that just like, I don't know, sums up his career and builds on it in such an interesting and fun way.
Yeah. What did you think of this album? What's your...
I gave this one a check, trending best. Kind of again. This one, again, in the same way as Shibuboshi, feels like if I spend a little bit more time with it, this feels like it could really become one of mine. But, like, for now, I think it's just a fantastic, great record.
Yeah.
It gets a thumbs up, for sure.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a 4. I love to go back to some of the tracks.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm going to sift through a couple.
Yeah.
It's hour and 20 runtime is going to be, but, like... It really doesn't feel that like that.
No,
you really get lost in it, and honestly, I think it's one of the better releases of this year. Especially in the, it's really refreshing to hear in the lo-fi folk kind of scene.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. On to our
favorite segment, Jack's Tracks.
Jack's Tracks.
Named after our dear friend Jack Music.
Yeah. Shout out, Big Dog.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, all my soldiers who died.
All right, I think you're up first for this one.
Oh, am I? Look at me go. All right, I picked Axons and Dendrites by the band Shipping News. Shipping News, don't know a ton about them, but they are from the Louisville scene in the 90s. That kind of like, because that's where Slint's from, and that kind of brand of post-rock mixed with like hardcore. Well, I don't know, what would you call Unwound? That style of like, it's not, is it hardcore? It's not hardcore. Fuck, genres are silly.
Yeah.
But there's this
punk,
math rock kind of type of stuff. Math rock, post rock, punk, all that sort of shit. And like a couple bands kind of popped up from there. Like June of 44 was another one that's really good. And Shipping News was another band that popped up out of that. And I just kind of found them randomly. And I think it's cool. It sounds a lot like, not a lot like Slint, because Slint was so much their own thing.
Yeah.
But this is such a cool, fun take on that sound. And it's a sound I really love, which is very clangy guitars, but like very repetitive and trance-like. So yeah,
let's check it out.
What
was the name of the song?
Axons and Dendrites by Shipping News.
Axons and Dendrites by Shipping News. I forgot the name again.
Axons and Dendrites by Shipping News.
Shipping News. Yeah, that was really good. It reminded me a lot of there's a weird poppiness to it.
Yeah.
The chord progression's very poppy and the drum beat's very poppy, but there's it's very sludgy at the same time.
Yeah, it's super. I definitely, after listening to it again, it's definitely just a straight up post rock song.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's such a poppy chord progression, where it's a fun little one. Yeah. It's also only 5.5 minutes, which it feels a little bit longer than that in a good way. But yeah. It's a cool little one.
Yeah, it's like a cool little low key cut. I feel like.
Yeah. It doesn't quite I feel like a lot of those post rock tracks really go for really really ambitious stuff, and this one kind of.
It does enough without doing too much.
Post rock. Yeah. Post pop rock.
Yeah. It still has the spoken word thing.
Yeah, just a guy saying some bullshit.
Yeah. but like, yeah, it's just really cool. I kind of just got lost in it for 5 minutes. And that's kind of, I think, what you want out of a track like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, it was a great song.
Yeah. Hit me with yours, Big Daddy.
I've got Poster by Oaf One.
Yeah, what you got to say about Oaf One?
Oaf One is a scene-core artist, so kind of like pre-hyper pop.
Okay.
Like inspired by a lot of like Euro dance, quick 4 on the floor kicks. This is a more weird low-key cut that's definitely inspired by some like I feel like it's got some punk rock influences there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know much when it comes, like, most of the stuff is just stuff I found on SoundCloud. This song's really cool.
All right.
And it caught your ear earlier, so.
That's true, yeah.
I love this track. It's Poster by Oaf One.
Poster by Oaf One.
Yeah. Boom. That was Poster.
Poster by Oaf One. That was sick. That was cool.
It's weird.
It's very weird. Like, it's such an impressive amalgamation of vibes.
Yeah.
Like, you could definitely draw a direct line to stuff like... I need to turn my mic down a little bit now. But you could definitely draw a direct line to stuff like Joy Division and, like, DAF from Germany. And, like, that kind of whole, like, 80s goth scene. And then also, like, it's just a dance beat.
Yeah.
But also... And, like, he's singing, like... It's a very poppy chorus of I'm hanging like a poster.
Yeah, it's very depressing.
And it's so depressing. And it's a very odd little song. And it grooves. It's funny and silly, but, like, depressing at the same time.
Yeah, it's very, like...
weird little vibe. I can't believe that works. Like, when you look at it abstractly, you're like, this shouldn't work at all. That's cool.
It's so muddy and lo-fi, too. Yeah, the little synth that comes in is so groovy. Yeah. Yeah.
What a weird little song.
Yeah, what a weird... And, like, the funny thing is none of his other songs really sound like this.
What's his other stuff sound like?
They're much poppier. I'll show you.
Okay.
If you want one of my favorite ones by Oaf One is called Doing It Wrong, where he samples Daft Punk, and it's like a hyperpop song.
Oh, cool. That's hype. That's hype.
Yeah.
It also does remind me of, like, Damon R a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I can kind of see him listening to that and kind of getting somewhere.
Well, this is pre-Damon R.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's like, I'm like, Damon R, like, I can imagine him, like, little Damon R sitting in his bedroom on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Getting into that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's Oaf One Poster.
Oaf One Poster.
Yeah. Any closing remarks?
Well,
anything you'd like to say to the people?
You know? You know?
Yeah.
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 Fuck, man.
Yeah. I feel liberated.
I feel fucking free, dude.
Dude.
Fuck. Oh my god.
You live in America.
We live in a fucking America and I can just go like anytime I want. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. What the fuck, bro?